In this lecture, let's create a constructor method for our robot. As a quick recap, classes are blueprints for creating an object. So far, our code does not get executed until an object gets created. Right now, objects based on our class will have 4 variables called age, price, name, and is turned on. That's great, but we may need to do more than define variables. We may want to execute additional logic upon creation. This is where constructor methods come into play. A constructor method is a block of code executed upon creation. Defining a constructor method is fairly simple. Below our variables, add the following code: robot. Methods must be defined in a class. In addition, the name of a method follows the same naming rules as namespaces, classes, or variables. It's recommended to use Pascal casing for method names. In this case, the name of our method is called robot. This name is not flexible. Constructor methods must have the same name as the class name. Otherwise, the logic written in the method will not be executed. After setting the name of a method, we must add a pair of parentheses and curly brackets. We're going to ignore the parentheses. They're necessary for constructor methods. However, they will be covered in another lecture. Let's shift our focus to the curly brackets. Within these curly brackets, we can write the logic for this method. Code written in the curly brackets will be executed when the object is created. Let's cover some terminology before moving forward. The process of creating an object from a class is known as instantiation. We're not limited to creating one object from a class. An unlimited number of objects can be created from a class. A specific copy of an object is known as an instance. You may hear these words from time to time. Understanding them is key to programming. You can think of it like this. The robot class can be considered a blueprint for building a robot. If we created 10 robots, we would have 10 objects. A specific robot would be referred to as an instance. As mentioned before, constructor methods are executed upon instantiation. This behavior gives us the opportunity to run additional logic. For example, let's try turning the robot on. In our class, we have a variable called isTurnedOn. By default, the robot will be turned off. Let's turn them on by setting this variable to true. Variables can be updated anytime. We're not restricted to the initial values. Updating a variable is similar to creating a variable, with one exception. The data type does not need to be included. It only needs to be included upon creation. As a side note, some developers refer to creating new variables as a declaration. Whenever creating a variable, you can say declaring a variable. Creating and declaring are interchangeable terms. Back to the logic of the constructor method. We can write as many lines of code as we'd like. For now, let's leave our code as is. So far, we've written about 20 lines of code. I think it's time to start running our code from Unity. In the next set of lectures, let's start preparing our class for Unity.